What's up, guys? Let's talk a little bit about Tennessee River. We just got home a couple of days ago from the Tennessee River, Knoxville, Tennessee. Second stop of the Bassmaster Elite Series. Got some history there, guys. If you guys remember 2019, that's where I fished my very first Bassmaster Classic. If you guys remember, that was a fairly tough bite there too as well. But this year was exceedingly tough. I mean, we had water temperatures in the low 40s to start practice at this event. Water has in places on a drawdown, so the water is extremely low. Gosh, guys, incredibly tough bite. Ended up coming out of the Tennessee River in 28th, which I'm pretty, I'm not satisfied, but I'm kind of pleased with that because practice in this place was just it was stressful to say the least. Very, very hard just to get a bite in that place, much less, catch a keeper, because you just didn't know if you caught a keeper, if that was going to be your last one. So, in practice, I was making an hour and 15-minute run one way from Knoxville, Tennessee, an hour and 15-minute one way, an hour and 15 minutes back. It's the only thing I had confidence in. And I'd found some fish up, I'm telling you, dirt shallow. They were on the tops of these very, very shallow flats. That's where the shad were, so that's where the fish were too. And actually in this event, I thought I could do a little bit better than what I did. I thought I could fill the limits each day. I was somewhat confident I could do that, but it wouldn't surprise me if I couldn't. But day one in that event, I only had 3 fish that weighed under 5 pounds because I was middle of the pack with 4.5, 4 3/4 pounds on day one. So I ended up making a decision on day 2 to run all the way back over there. I said I had to figure them out. And it wasn't until late in the day on day 2, I weighed in a decent bag, caught a big one on day 2, until I kind of figured out those fish had moved off of those flats and they were in that like 3 to 6 foot of water out in front of the flats. They had moved out deeper is what they did. A lot of the shad were out there a little deeper, and it wasn't really until that last hour or so of the day on day 2 that I really figured out that's what they had done. And that's just my fault. Day 1, I should have tried to adjust a little quicker and try to refine those fish. I did that on day 2. So day 2, weighed in 11 something, moved from 54th to 40th, made the day 3 cut. That's where you always want to be fishing day 3 right here. And day 3 was a lot of the same. Got out there into I had 2 primary areas, and I was pretty confident going into day 3 that I'd found him out there in that deeper water. But day 3, both of my primary areas, we had a lot of rain that day before. It was highs in the low 40s, and it rained all day, absolutely miserable. But what all that rain did, it muddied all of that up. It was pretty stained during the tournament and practice, but it got almost zero visibility in that water overnight going into day 3. So that was pretty discouraging, because I kind of figured him out that day before. So had to just fish instinctively on day 3. Ended up catching another big one. Ended up catching one like 4.5. And then 3 little small keepers. Ended up catching a couple of smallmouth that were just barely under 18 inches. That definitely would have helped. But 9 something on day 3, moved up from 40th all the way to 28th place. Just limits were so important. 1 little 1.5-pound keeper were so important for points and placement in that event. I actually like events like that. I like events where 1 bite can change the game, can change the entire tournament, and that 100% was Tennessee River this year. And I actually like tournaments like that because 1 bite, 1 decision, 1 good execution can change the game. And 2 of the 3 days I had a big bite, executed on both of those. So happy, not satisfied, but guys, after the first 2 Elite Series tournaments of the year, I am top 10 in Angler of the Year. I'm sitting in 7th overall right now. It is really nice to get a good start this year. Last year I did not. I had a couple of bad tournaments to start the year. Had a good end of the second half of the season last year, but you have to be more consistent because my goals always the same every single year. I want to compete for an AOY championship, and I want to be fishing in the following year's Bassmaster Classic. And I did not achieve either one of those last year. So this year it feels really good to carry that momentum from the end of 2020 into the start of 2021. Top 10 in AOY after 2 events. But we have Pickwick coming up soon, so no time to rest, and I'm really excited to get back out there. But kind of some of the tools of the trade from the Tennessee River. I mean, my number one key to victory rod, of course, was this little dude right here. That's the Aruku Shad 75. If you follow me, you have seen how much I have been throwing this bait this year. This is the big one. This is like, it's a 5/8, so it's a little bigger profile than your typical 1/2 ounce. It dives deeper. This time of the year, I like a lot of vibration, water displacement, and a lot of noise. Because I really feel like the fish during the wintertime, the water's really cold up to pre-spawn, they really rely on their lateral lines to really feed and to find bait fish, because their feeding windows are just so small. So I was throwing that Aruku Shad 75, Mudbug Red. Man, it's just one of my go-tos right now. This time of the year, this setup right here, this Victory right here, which may be the most versatile rod on the planet right now. This is a 7.3 medium heavy with a fast tip. I can make extremely long casts with this thing, very sensitive, and it's probably a little stiffer than you'd be used to seeing with a big, with a lipless crankbait or anything with treble hooks. But I am always going to go on the heavier side of a rod, because I still believe that hook point penetration is the #1 key in landing a fish and being efficient with it. So I go with this heavier rod. I caught both of those big ones each day of that tournament on this thing, and they both had it choked. There was no way either one of those fish were coming off, and caught a lot of my key fish on that. Now, something else too as well that I was throwing is this right here. That's the new Square Bill SB Hunter 65 by SPRO. This is a bigger profile square bill. It's more like a, if you guys are familiar with like the KVD 1.5s or 2.5s, I'm sorry, it's more of that. It's got great action, great deflecting ability off of rocks. And that right there, that's actually Rayburn Red. I caught a few key fish each day on this, and I caught a couple too on a chatterbait as well on top when those fish were up shallow on the flats. But when they got out deeper, this right here, and then that Aruku Shad 75 and that Mudbug Red was just the ticket. But we have another one coming up, guys, Pickwick. I have never been there before, but I am really looking forward to it. And that place is not going to be Tennessee River. This place has got big ones, and it's got a lot of them. And it's going to take some absolute weight to win this thing. Smallmouth, largemouth, both will play big factors in Pickwick. I can promise you that. And maybe if we get this warming trend, if it stays that way, Pickwick could be special. I mean, guys, you could really see 30+ pound bags weighed in Pickwick, because that place has got them. They have got giant smallmouth and largemouth, and I think both will absolutely play. Conditions will play a huge part at Pickwick. Anytime during the springtime, if you get a warming trend, that could really be the key to something special. So looking forward to it. I got about a week here at home, then I'm gonna hit the road again. We'll go to Pickwick, and man, I'm really looking forward to that one. I'm looking to keep it rolling. I am fishing as confident now that I ever have in my career. I'm really feeling good. I don't like long layoffs, especially when things are rolling and you get some momentum going. I'm looking forward to get to Pickwick, continue this momentum, and I want to compete for an AOY, and I want to win one of these things, that's for sure. So I'm really looking forward to the style that I'm gonna fish over there. I like the way that place sets up, and I'm confident. So let's go. So guys, appreciate you guys for watching. Appreciate all the congratulations and the thumbs up from the past couple of weeks. But it's time to focus on Pickwick, and we will see you guys very soon. Pickwick next week, Bassmaster Elite Series. Thank you guys for watching. Dream big, tight lines. Later.